Welcome to another episode of Dynamic Diecasters, where this week we're going to continue our Back to the Future Delorean build, with this one being issues 20 through 23. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and get started on issue number 20. Welcome back. Like I said before the break, we're going to be working on issues 20 through 23 this week. Issue 20, well, it looks like most of them are actually going to be related to the engine. So, with that, we'll go ahead and get started on issue 20. I'll go through the parts and then we'll go ahead and start the build. Like I said, a bunch of little parts, and I think every single one of them are related to the engine. That if you guys saw the last DeLorean episode, we pretty much began work on the engine. So this is just a continuance of all of that. So I'll pull out all the parts, go through them, and then we'll get started on it. It's a bunch of little parts. There's not very many parts, just a bunch of little ones. As you can see, the bag's not very big, so. Funny thing is, there's a lot of screws, it looks like, though. So, we'll see how that goes. So, first one is the left air intake. I believe it's this one. Right here. The right air intake is the other one. And you can tell by the notches on the engine. And then we've got the intake bottoms. There's two of them right here. Then we've got 3 intake manifolds. They're all shaped the same way. So there's 3 of those. And then there's 16 AP screws. Like I said, there's a lot of screws in this part. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. In about 30 seconds, I'll show you what we did. See you in 30 seconds. So that was it for issue 20. So yeah, we put together most of the manifolds. So if you remember all the parts, so this was the manifold pieces, and then the left and right intake manifolds. We put those all together and then mounted them to the piece from the last episode that goes on top of the engine. So this is what our current look through issue 20 is. So we'll go ahead and move on to issue 21. Which, again, it's more of the same. There's a bunch of little tiny engine pieces in here. So we'll just probably continue adding to that section. So we'll go ahead and pull all the pieces out, and then I'll go through them all, and then we'll get started on it. I know one of these, there's a lot of cables in reference to, it looked like the distributor. When I looked through the magazines prior to filming, but I didn't really go through it in detail in terms of what I would actually be doing. I just knew from the standpoint of the way the parts looked that they were all engine related in this one. So I think that's it for the parts. We'll go through them. So first one is the right cylinder head, which is this one right here, the right cylinder head cover. Then this is the left cylinder head cover. Then we've got the control pressure regulator, which is this little piece right here. Then we've got the oil filler cap, which is this one right here. We've got an AC compressor rear, if I can hold on to it, right here. And then we've got the AC compressor front, which is right there. And then we've got the AC compressor connector. As you can see, a lot of little pieces. And then 2 AC compressor brackets. So you can see a lot of this is going to be related to the AC compressor. That's like 6 parts. Then we've got 12 AP screws, 4 FP screws, and then 2 DM screws. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. And in about 30 seconds, I'll show you what we did. See you in 30 seconds. And that was it for stage 21. So we continued with the engine, but we did quite a bit actually. So we installed the entire top part of the engine that we were working on before, but we actually put it on the engine. But we installed the air compressor, the oil filler, the control cover, then the right and left head covers, and then put the entire thing on the engine. So this is our current build of the engine. It's starting to really come together now, and obviously it's going to continue because, again, common theme today, stage 22, more of the engine. This will be the one that I was talking about. There's a lot of the hoses, so there's a lot of screws as well. So it's funny how there's a lot of small pieces in this one, but there's a lot of screwing in it too. So there's a lot of little tiny screws in that bag. So it'll be interesting to see how many are actually in here. Because that's only the first bag for one of screws. There's a lot of other tiny parts in here that we'll have to go through. And that last stage took me about 20 minutes real time. The first stage took me about 9. So right now I'm sitting at about 30 minutes of build time today. Of course, you guys only see 30-second time lapses, but I don't really want to bore you with, for one, my screw-ups if I mess something up. Which happens quite a bit because I'm not like a master builder or anything. This is just kind of a hobby that I started. Like I said, a lot of these, so tweezers will come in handy in this stage, I can tell. So we'll go through the parts and then we'll go ahead and get started on the build for this section. Looks like this is the only section with the hoses though. So next stage will just be more of the same. So first part, we've got a bracket, which is this little tiny part right here. You guys probably can't even see it on the screen. A lot of these are going to be tiny. So this is a cover. Then we've got what they call an arm right here. The throttle control, which is, trying to find it. Maybe that was the throttle. No, I'll have to look in the bag because I don't see that part they're referring to unless it's, so I'll skip that for a second. The thermostat is this one. Then we've got the fuel distributor. We've got 6 fuel injectors, which are all in this little bag right here. So again, a lot of little tiny pieces. Then we've got the mixture control unit, the mixture unit housing, and throttle valve assembly. Then we've got, that's interesting. Oh, there is an intake manifold. Okay. And then we've got 13 AP screws, so there's not as many as I thought. I guess it just seemed like a lot. It's about the same as the last stage. And then we've got 1 mm screw. Then we've got 2 short hoses, 2 medium hoses, and then 2 long ones. I'll have to look in the, see if I see the throttle. I didn't see that piece. And I went through them all. Oh wait, maybe it's this one. Okay, that's interesting because it looks nothing. Oh, okay, that's the, yeah, so this is the throttle, but the picture is sideways. So if you turn it sideways, that's what the picture represents. I was looking at it from the top and didn't think it was the piece. Okay, so that's all the pieces. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. In about 30 seconds, I'll show you what we did. See. And that's it for stage 22. Almost forgot what stage I was on at that point. That one took me a lot longer than thought it would. So basically we installed the fuel distributor, the hoses that go to the heads, and then this intake manifold with the various pieces on it. There's a ton of little tiny pieces, and we also did this part on the engine as well. So the engine, I think, is almost done at this point, which issue 23 might finish it close, but we'll see. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started with issue 23, and this will be the final stage of the episode. And again, it's more engine parts. Not as many though, so this one probably won't take as long as the last one because there's not as many little pieces either. So looks like it's the distributor part for this stage. And then the dipstick, which the dipstick is really detailed on this one, which if you guys have followed my Ghostbusters one, it wasn't as detailed, so this one actually must go inside the engine. The Ghostbusters one, if I recall, did not. It like just kind of barely hung out of the engine, so it constantly in the build when I was messing with the engine, it would fall out a lot. Now that it's kind of set in place, I don't have the issue. But so first part we've got is the distributor bracket. Then we've got the distributor rear, which I believe is this part. Then we've got the distributor front, the engine side bracket. Then we've got the transmission case left bracket and the right bracket. Then, like I said, we've got the dipstick. Then we've got 3 AM screws, 4 DM screws, and 3 AP screws. Like I said, not a lot of screws either. So in about 30 seconds, I'll come back and show you our completed build as of stage 23, and then we'll conclude the episode. See you in 30 seconds. And that was it for stage 23. So if you look, the only thing that we actually completed was we added the side bracket and the distributor right here. And then we added the dipstick on this side and then the 2 brackets back here. So this is so far through stage 23 what the engine looks like. So that's it for this episode of Dynamic Diecasters. In the next episode, we will be doing the Ghostbusters, no, not the Ghostbusters, the Star Trek Enterprise build. And then after that, I'll play it by ear because I don't have a lot of boxes left. But if you enjoyed this episode and you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. Hit that bell so you get notified when new videos come out. And for all of us at the Heart of Geek, I hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you in the next episode. Have a good night.